As I mentioned a moment ago, it's a beautiful gift to be back. And in our absence, in the time when we felt the need to tend to other pieces that were preeminent in our lives, we didn't just send in the A team, we sent in the J team. Reverend Jesse. And Reverend John and Reverend Jim and Karen and Reverend James and back to Reverend Jesse. And next week, Jennifer. And because my name doesn't start with a J, I'm a little at ease up here, but we're gonna call on the master teacher, Jesus. So that beautiful energy shares the energy of love and light that Reverend Jesse and all of you represent so beautifully, and that Mary spoke to in that precious meditation. We didn't collaborate on what we were going to speak on this morning, but the very first words that I have to share with you from the text of A Course in Miracles comes from the section Christmas as the End of Sacrifice. And I choose to begin at the second paragraph. The sign of Christmas is a star, a light in darkness. See it not outside yourself, but shining in the heaven within. And accept it as the sign the time of Christ has come. You know, there's that old sign that appears in different places, mostly as something to get us to laugh, but it says, Jesus is coming soon, look busy. Well, Jesus tells us in this work, he tells us in the Gospels that he has never left, that he is right here with us every step of the way. In the language of the Gospel, he writes, Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of time. And his course elucidation on that piece is posted on this beautiful image that Mary and I have at one of our altars in our home. And he says, when I said, I am with you always, I meant it literally. Now, we can ask, what do you think he meant by that? But if we're honest, we're going to hear his words. When I said I am with you always, I meant it literally. I am not absent to anyone in any situation. Because I am always with you, you are the way, the truth, and the light. When you and I are aligned with the truth of our nature, then we are indeed that way, that truth, and that life, and we become more of a conduit, the one that God intended us to be for love and light in this world. And we can find 1,000 reasons. I love the beautiful setting that Reverend Jesse led you in last week with Mary Ann and Reverend Jesse and with Gail and with Devison, who kind of got carried away, I think a little bit playing God, but no. He knows I'm kidding him. But I love that you did that in that beautiful way, Reverend Jesse, and led that group, and that all of you were willing to participate. If you missed that, please go to, or get our email newsletter, and click on that YouTube and bring that up, because it's a wonderful, wonderful reminder of who we are and what happens in our lives that can either take us deeper into who we're not, or take us more beautifully into an awareness of who we are and who the person on the other side of the equation is as well. So I want to continue to read in this just for a moment because, you know, it's a little tricky in New Thought, in Unity, in New Thought Ancient Wisdom, because if we come from a background that had to do with a Jesus that was all about sacrifice and all about saving us from our sins, then we have to turn a corner, if we're to really embrace the idea that Jesus is love, and Jesus is reminding us that we are love. I chose to title today's lesson, Love Came Down at Christmas Time, and I don't mean that love is out there and love has come down to us, but love came down at Christmas time. I kind of put it in a very brief, very rudimentary poem. Love came down at Christmas time, a gift God had to give. Love came down at Christmas time to teach us how to live. Love came down at Christmas time, a love that came to reveal to you, to me, to all of us, through love, we all are healed. And so, if we're to really allow ourselves to embrace this Jesus that brought our co-founder Myrtle Fillmore back from the brink of death to a life that was rich and full and long, that birthed this movement along with Charles, Myrtle leading the way. And I think Charles would probably agree with that. If we are to embrace and fully, it may sound a little off, but fully utilize that Jesus Christ as wayshower, to allow us to fully embrace not only this season, but fully embrace all that we are, and to be able to take that more beautifully and powerfully into the world, then we must be willing to let go of the idea of sacrifice. Let me read a little further. No sacrifice of any kind, this is from a course in miracles, no sacrifice of any kind of anyone is asked by him. In his presence, the whole idea of sacrifice loses all meaning, for he is host to God. And you need but invite him in who is there already. It's a given. By recognizing that his host is one, and no thought alien to his oneness can abide with him there, love must be total to give him welcome. Now, a lot of us can hear that word, love must be total to give him welcome, and we can think, well, I'm just not going to get there, probably not in this lifetime, right? But I want to ask you to close your eyes for just a moment, and if you will, indulge me a little, bring your left hand to your heart. And on this beautiful eve of Christmas, this third Sunday of Advent, this Sunday that focuses on love, on the heels of the beautiful peace of the second Sunday and the wonderful concepts of hope and faith in the first, allow yourself, if you will, to feel that love that you are, that love that you have always been, and that love that you will always be. And realize, even as you and I do that, not so much with words, but with the feeling of that love, that we are welcoming the Christ. We are welcoming that reawakening of the indwelling essence of God that each of us is. Breathing that in, honoring that, however much the mind, the chattering mind, may challenge that. Allowing ourselves to feel the import and the power of this truth. When you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. One of the things Mary makes me do this time of year is watch Hallmark movies. And there is where I found out the real meaning of Christmas. Despite what you might have been told, it's really all about the cookies or the cocoa, and we have cookies, Yale. This is no slam on your cookies. Or the cocoa, or the making of the cookies, or the Christmas tree, or the lighting of the Christmas tree. It's really all about that. Yeah. Compassion. Well, we know that really all of those movies get to the end where it's really all about love, isn't it? It's about love for a couple. It's about love for a child. It's often part of it. We rewatched. And it's recorded so she can. We rewatched yesterday afternoon another Hallmark movie, and it's a beautiful movie about foster children. And the lead heroine was a foster child, and the child in the movie a foster child. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. We have special feeling for that because one of our sons and his wife have a foster child now that they've brought into their home. But the movies are predictable, aren't they? I mean, Mary has been forgiving of me when I've fallen asleep during part of the movie, but when I wake up, it's like I didn't miss anything. And in a lot of ways, our life is predictable when we are in touch with the true meaning of who we are and the season is and why we're here. And so I think we're all agreed that Christmas is a time when we allow to come to the surface a little more readily that feeling of connection, of oneness. It's not hard in a beautiful community like this, but it's a little tougher out there, right? And tougher when we turn on the television or turn on the radio or look at the internet and see what's going on. And yet, each one of those would-be thorns that irritate us, that cause us a challenge, are also there as a gift, as we were reminded so beautifully in last Sunday's lesson. And so I wanted to kind of offer one more idea about how to remember the true meaning of Christmas and to really to use this few weeks as a powerful prelude to a new year and to, pardon the expression, but milk it for all it's worth. An old comedic friend of mine used to say, if you meet a sacred cow, milk it for all it's worth. Well, this is about the sacred experience of Christmas and how we want to glean from it every bit of good that we can to heal ourselves and to help bring healing to others, to heal our planet. And there may be some resistance. We'll talk about that a little bit. So imagine, if you will, and I'm going to ask you to close your eyes again just for a moment, but just allow your attention to go back to Christmas, to a Christmas. It may be your present Christmas, it may be one fairly recently, but one where there was a Christmas tree in your experience that was very meaningful. It may have been from childhood. A beautiful Christmas tree that you helped to decorate, that you just look at and feel the energy of Christmas. You may smell the smells of that wonderful fragrance if it's a fresh-cut tree or a live tree. And if it's one that is taken out of the box and erected each year. The ornaments that are placed on it have special meaning to you. And as you view this Christmas tree, whenever and wherever it may be, you notice this beautifully wrapped gift beneath the tree. Oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. But you also notice that this gift is wrapped with tinsel and strength that is going to take some doing in order to free it, in order for you to open up this gift and receive what is there. And you see there on the gift that it has your name for you at Christmas time. And the excitement grows as you think about it, as you sense that this is something very powerful and very wonderful and very lasting that is waiting for you inside of this gift. And as you focus on it, you realize you're going to need your hands to untie this gift. It's going to take some work. And so I'm going to ask you now to open your eyes again. We need these hands. And the question might arise, okay, I have the hands to do what I need to do. What could encumber my unwrapping this gift and receiving all that it has for me? Well, it depends on where those hands receive their guidance. If they're the hands of the head, guided by the head, and I'm speaking here of the head that gets us in trouble, the head that has us see things out of proportion, the head that entertains judgment and grievances and unforgiveness. Will those hands do the job? Or shall I use the hands of the heart? The hands of forgiveness, the hands of kindness, of compassion, of seeing past appearances, the hands of harmony and holiness. I'm going to ask you once again to close your eyes. And I want us to think for a moment, without judgment, about some of those hands of the head, those hands guided by the head, the hands that hold up our arms and say, oh no, no way. The hands that are inclined, guided by that littleness that is not who we are, but who we sometimes identify with, the hands pointing a finger in judgment or blame or guilt. The hands that would point to our own head and say, but you are not quite worthy. You are not whole enough. And we acknowledge that those hands need to rest. That mind needs to rest. And now we bring our attention to our hearts. Our hearts that, especially this time of year, would employ the powerful tool of forgiveness. Our hearts that are so willing to let go of grievances against ourselves or someone else or groups of people. Our hearts that want to experience the harmony and the holiness, not only of ourselves, but of our brothers and sisters, whatever their outpicturing may be. And so we, eyes still closed, now go and see the scene beneath the tree of the beautiful package there. We begin to, employed by the heart, pull and work with the strings and wrappings. We think about others. We allow ourselves to feel that forgiveness. We think about ourselves, a mistake we might have made recently or sometime in this past year, missing the mark in some way, and we forgive ourselves. Encountering a little bit of resistance, we feel a hand upon our shoulder. And we look up to see our master teacher smiling, eyes full of love, peace and compassion flowing. Let me give you a hand, he says. He bends beside you, and the package opens up without effort. And there, a golden orb of light, translucent and shining, it enlightens the entire room. Very gently you reach down and hold this orb in front of you, blessed by its beneficent light. And the master teacher says, "This is who you are. This is who you have always been. This is who you will always be." Without effort, you gently bring that orb into your heart. I am that light, the master teacher says, and you are that light. And I would ask you, he says, as your gift to me in this Christmas, in this new year, in this beautiful life that you are, that you see that light in your brothers and your sisters, especially in the ones that seem so unlike the light. For even as I am here to remind you of this light, to assist you in unwrapping the package that is so precious, given to us by our Father, Mother God, even then I am with you as you seek to be and see that light in the world. Holy brother, holy sister, he says, I am with you always, even unto the end of time. I have come to reveal this truth to you. Receive my gift. And we breathe. We breathe into that idea, into that feeling. And each of us in our own perfect way may take this opportunity to commit in the privacy and the beauty of the sacredness of your own heart and mind to let that light shine brighter, clearer, more broadly than ever before. And so it is. Amen. Merry Christmas.